Good morning, gentlemen. It's nice talking to you again, and I hope all of you are hale and hearty and having a good time. There have been a lot of developments since the last time I spoke to you as far as Ukraine is concerned. The war seems to have turned upside down. It looks it, but I'm going to analyze it now and give you my opinion. Of course, you can't take it as a godsend, what I'm saying, but this is based on my experience, and you will appreciate it once you listen to me thoroughly. Now, as per the reports which are coming in, the Ukrainians have launched a counteroffensive and they have captured some 3 to 400 square miles of territory which were held by the Russians in the Kharkiv region. They are also attacking in the eastern region, in the southeastern region, in the Donbass, but there the gains are very minimal. They haven't gained that much as they gained in the Kharkiv. Now the question arises, has the Russian army been defeated? Because there are some weird sites which are propagating a lot of news, like Russian soldiers are shooting the generals, the Russian soldiers are shooting each other, they are running away. I mean, there's no end to the videos which are coming out, but are they true? One thing, let us accept the fact that Vladimir Putin had planned this invasion in a very haphazard manner. I think he didn't spend time burning the midnight oil to plan this invasion. When you want to plan an invasion, you plan it to the minutest detail, which he did not. Neither did his generals. They took everything so lightly and they treated it as a limited military engagement. There's nothing like a limited military engagement. Either you are at war or you are not at war. It doesn't mean that you just say limited engagement, do something else, and then come back. And I mean, this is not the way a war is fought. A war is a war, and you have to give your full attention to it. At one time, and even now, the warfare is an art. It's not like, say, the fine arts like painting or writing, but it definitely has finesse, and you can't just fight it because, in this case, lives are at stake. The aims of the Russians were very clear. They wanted a change of regime. One, they wanted to ensure that Zelensky doesn't apply to NATO, is not becomes a member, doesn't become a member of the EU, and doesn't become a frontline state against Russia. I think if you look at it dispassionately, these things are achieved. But what Putin really wanted was a complete regime change, and that has not happened. Why it didn't happen? Because the Ukrainian people were roused by Zelensky for all his faults. He was able to play on the patriotic fervor of the Ukrainians, and then they had Joe Biden and Boris Johnson in the background to help them. Without the help of Boris Johnson and Biden, and I would say mostly Biden, the Ukrainians would not have been able to hold on to the Russians. So what they did, they got the latest HIMARS anti-tank missiles, everything, and they used them to good advantage. They got the latest weaponry, whereas the Russians committed only a small part of the army into battle against the Ukrainians. Now that was another flaw. When you are going to battle, you got to go into battle full to win. That is the aim. See the old saying, "A winner takes all," and that is what matters. And Putin didn't achieve that thing. That part has to be accepted. I think if you look at it, Putin probably put his hand in the lion's mouth. There's an old Punjabi saying, "Sher de muh vich hath pana." That means putting your hand in the lion's mouth. And this is what Putin did. He did that and he's been bitten badly. So now what next? Are the Ukrainians going to liberate the entire Donbass region, the Crimea, and reach the Russian border? I don't think so. You will watch, despite all the talk which is going on in the various Western media, that the Ukrainians are winning. Yes, tactical victory, but not total victory. I don't think the Russians are going to give up, though they are under pressure from China to have a solution, a border solution, and also from India. The Indian Prime Minister Modi has also been talking of a peaceful solution and negotiated solution and all that. See, this is very easy to talk. Negotiated solution. What is a negotiated solution? In which there's a give and take. In this case, the Russian demands are very clear. One, two, three, four. Don't want an existentialist threat to their country. That is the issue. Who's going to guarantee that? Not the Americans. The Americans don't want. Americans want Russia to be finished. Otherwise, when in 92 or 93, Boris Yeltsin, when he was the president, applied for membership of the NATO, they would have accepted. They didn't accept it because they knew that they're going to fight Russia and finish it and create an enemy so that our hegemony over Europe continues. Now, the European nations are in trouble also because they are divided and really they don't know what to do, honestly. The French are sitting on the fence, the Germans would like to defeat the Russians, but then they're so much dependent on Russian oil and gas, they don't know what to do. And the other countries don't matter, Poland, Belgium, these are no value, these countries. I don't know whether these countries realize that they have mortgaged their entire independence to the Americans. And they think that America is going to come and help them at a critical stage at some stage. And America is going to record it never helps anybody. If these people feel Americans are going to come and help them, no way. So we have seen that the picture is very clear. America not going to help them, but at the same time, they're urging them, egging them on to fight the Russians. And Russia has become almost like the moral leper in Europe. It's been expelled from the European Council, and now the small countries of Europe have something to cheer that Zelensky is winning. It's easier said than done. Now, let's be very clear. He has taken some territory, has advanced, but I do not think Putin is going to accept defeat. Now, Zelensky has made some conditions. He says if we are to negotiate, Russia will have to vacate the entire territory, including the Crimea, pay reparations, and whatever war crimes their soldiers have done, as alleged by the Ukrainians, these have to be sorted out, and on this basis only we will negotiate with the Russians. I don't think it's going to happen. And these are rosy dreams. The Ukrainians are not going to be able to push the Russians out of the Donbass region or take Crimea. I don't think it's going to happen. What is likely to happen is that the Russians are going to regroup. And if they regroup and they plan it properly, they can still turn the tide. And now it's a question of prestige of Vladimir Putin. Now, what I've been observing in the last SCO conference in Central Asia, which was attended by 8 countries, Putin had lost his elan. You know that elan which he had, the bombastic way he walked around, he talked. He was more amenable, more mellowed, maybe because he has realized that after 6 months of fighting, he has not achieved what he had expected to achieve. And nobody can deny this aspect that this is precisely what has happened. How did the Russians fail? There's so many reasons for it which I've discussed already. Lack of planning, that's one of it. Underestimating the enemy. Two, not having the proper morale and aim, the aim to fight in Ukraine. And and the initial stage, the whole aim was to treat it as a limited engagement, military engagement, and not commit your full force. Now, win a war, if you do that sort of thing, you don't commit your full force, you are not going to win. And that is precisely what happened. Putin and his generals must be wondering now that we should apprehend. Gentlemen, the battle lines are on. The war is not over, and it's not over till both the countries negotiate peace. We'll have to wait and see what happens in future. But one thing is very clear. As it stands, Ukraine has the upper hand, but that doesn't mean they won the war. And as far as Putin is concerned, he has not lost the war, though his army is demoralized. Now, Putin has to restore the morale of his army and bomb the Ukrainians out. I don't see there's any other way. Otherwise, he has to have a negotiated peace. And if that happens, I think Russia as a global power will be finished. So it's the Hobbes' choice for Putin. He has to do something drastic, and I do not know what drastic action he's going to do. I have a lurking feeling for a long time that in case Putin is pushed to the brink, he might use a tactical nuclear device or maybe engineer a nuclear blast in one of the plants in Ukraine. In that case, I'm afraid Ukraine's goose would be cooked. Gentlemen, I think I made my views very clear. The Russians on the back foot, miscalculated, didn't assess the enemy properly, and now they are retreating. They have given up some land to the Ukrainians, but the Ukrainians have not won. They have not steamrolled to the Russian border completely or driven the Russians out of the Donbass region, and they're nowhere in close to capturing Crimea. And Putin prestige has come down. There's no doubt about it. He has to do something better now, show to the world that what he is. He's thinking that he would be in the mold of Joseph Stalin. I don't think he's a patch on that great man. Putin has to do better, and let's hope peace will come. But I do not see peace coming until and unless the core demands of the Russians are accepted. The question is, will those demands be accepted? Americans are not going to accept. They will not let Ukraine accept. Let's see what happens. I close now, gentlemen. Jai Hind. Look after yourself. Watch and subscribe to my video. Farewell.